Hi, I'm Maya, and today I want to talk about the books that I read in 2023. So I read a lot of books in 2023, but I'm only going to talk about 4 of them today. It's crazy to me that this year is almost over. I don't know where the time went. I read some good books and some not so good books, some middling books. Yeah, so I'm just going to talk about a few of them. So to start off with, The Birdcage by Eve Chase. I read this book because Kate Morton, another author, one of my favorite authors, recommended it on one of her blog posts or something. And I have a whole video about Kate Morton's books on my channel if you want to go check it out. She's just a fabulous writer. So when she said that she liked this book, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to read it. It definitely had that Kate Morton flair to it of family drama and generational secrets, mysterious and immersive, just a cool vibe and environment to it. But I don't think it was as masterfully done as a Kate Morton book. I guessed the twist from the very beginning, but it was still a lot of fun. And I really loved the characters. The characters felt like real people, they were so detailed and so nuanced, and I really enjoyed reading about them and watching their journey. When half-sisters Lauren, Flora, and Kat are unexpectedly summoned to the Cornish house where they spent their childhood summers, it's the first time they've dared return, because the wild cliffs and windswept beaches hide a 20-year-old secret, the truth about what they did. Someone who remembers them lurks in the shadows, watching their every move, and there are other secrets, even darker than their own, waiting to be unearthed. It's a fun, quick read. I think I read it in 2 days. Good characters, good vibe. And one thing about this book, I learned 30 new vocabulary words reading this book. Eve Chase's vocabulary is crazy. I had to read it with a dictionary because she kept using words I'd never heard of before. So that was fun. I loved learning new words. Don't go into this thinking it's going to be exactly like a Kate Morton book, but I think as long as you're not expecting that, you'll enjoy it. It's still a good book, and I would still recommend it. That's The Birdcage. Okay, the next book I want to talk about is Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel. This was a very, very spicy book. I really enjoyed the magical realism. I took a Latin American humanities class in college, and we read a lot of different short stories that were in the magical realism genre. And I think my favorite was Gabriel Garcia Marquez, The Old Man with, what was the title? The Very Old Man with Enormous Wings, or something like that. I really enjoyed that. And so I saw some similarities between that story and this book, just in the style. Magical things happening and nobody has any reaction to them. It's just run of the mill. It's a novel in monthly installments with recipes, romances, and home remedies. A mystical Mexican love story that will charm the palate and the heart. Fairy tale, soap opera romance, Mexican cookbook, and home remedy handbook all rolled into one. Oh, and also it's set during the Mexican Revolution, so that was a really interesting historical period to learn more about, and it's an interesting backdrop for this love story. So the main character, Tita, I have to say I actually like her sister Gertrudis better than her. I think she has a more interesting story because she runs off and joins the revolution and just has a really interesting life while Tita stays at home, which she kind of has to because there's a whole thing there. But yeah, I kind of wish that a second love interest hadn't been introduced later on in the book, because then I was rooting for that guy instead of the first guy. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this book because I'm having a hard time vocalizing my thoughts about it because it's such a feeling-based book. It's more about how it makes you feel as you're reading it, and so it's kind of hard for me to express everything I'm feeling. I will say it's sad. The ending is sad, and after I finished reading it, I just felt really sad. But I do think it's a very beautiful book and a very unique book. I like the symbolism of the kitchen and food, and the family drama and family dynamics are very compelling. I do have some issues with it, but overall, it's a good book. The next book I want to talk about is The Witch and the Tsar by, okay, I don't know how to say it, Olesia Salnikova Gilmore, I think. I got this book because my husband has a collection of old Russian fairy tales that we've been reading. And then I saw this book, and it's about Baba Yaga, who is a prime figure in the old Russian fairy tales. And in the fairy tales, she's usually a villain, but in this book, she's the protagonist, she's the hero, she's a misunderstood witch. So I thought that was intriguing. And I really did enjoy this book. I wouldn't say it's like fine literature or something, but it's fun. I read it during the summer. I feel like it's a good summer beach read. I think my favorite part about the book was seeing all of the tropes and sayings and characters that are in all of the old Russian fairy tales. Obviously, this author is very familiar with old Russian fairy tales, and she incorporates a lot of the old idioms and figures and has all the same notes that a classic Russian fairy tale has. So that was really fun to read that and be like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I've seen that before. I've read that before. I've heard that. I really like Baba Yaga as a character in this book. I think she's a really cool person. And surprisingly, this book has a happy ending, which I was not expecting. But that was nice. That was a nice surprise for me, because the way it was going, I didn't think it was going to have a happy ending, but it did. So that's nice. The maligned and immortal witch of legend known as Baba Yaga will risk all to save her country and her people from Tsar Ivan the Terrible and the dangerous gods who seek to drive the twisted hearts of men. So pretty cool. Like, if you're at all interested in like Russian folklore, I would definitely give this book a read. The next book I want to talk about is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. It is the sequel to Ninth House. So I was actually a little sad reading this book, a little disappointed, because I thought that this series was just going to be a duology, and I was like, oh great, I'm finally going to get all the answers that I've been waiting for since reading Ninth House. But then I reached the end and I was like, oh, the story still isn't wrapped up. There is going to be a third book. And so now I'm just like, just give me the third book. I just want to know what happens. Oh, side note, Barnes & Noble put a sticker right on the cover, and I tried to peel it off, and it just ruined it, and it made me really upset. So if we could just like let Barnes & Noble know that we don't like when they put stickers on the front, let's do it. Like, let's sign a petition or something, because I'm sick of them ruining my books. Because I don't want to leave the sticker on there because that looks stupid and ugly. But then if you rip it off, it looks even worse. So you just can't win. Anyway, aside from that, this book was a lot of fun, but also a little bit frustrating because, like I said, I was just waiting for things to wrap up, but they didn't. I also feel like some of the characters suddenly had traits that popped out of nowhere just to serve the plot. Turner, the police officer guy, like, is suddenly a very religious man, and I don't remember that ever really being mentioned in the first book. But then it like works out for their quest because they need like a religious person. But anyway, it was still enjoyable. I really like this world that she's created. Oh, and I thought the inside was very pretty. Find a gateway to the underworld, steal a soul out of hell, a simple plan, except people who make this particular journey rarely come back. But Alex Stern is determined to break Darlington out of purgatory, even if it costs her a future at Leith and at Yale. I really like the chemistry between Darlington and Alex, and I want them to just get together already. Spoiler alert, they don't get together in this book, and I just want to see it happen. I need the third book now so that I know what happens with them. So yeah, spooky, dark, atmospheric, good October read. I think it was a good middle book, a good bridge book, because it doesn't just feel like filler, like important things are happening, but at the same time, I'm just waiting for the next one. So I think it gets the job done. Yeah, I don't know when the next one comes out, so I'm just gonna be waiting for that. That's Hellbent. And the last book I want to talk about is Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. First of all, look how giant this book is. It's like a Bible. It's massive. I forget how many, I think it has like 900 pages or something. It's like 800, I guess. This is the third and final book in the Last Hours trilogy. It was really fun to see the characters from the Clockwork series, Will and Tessa, grown up and married and with kids. It's very cute to see them and look more into their domestic world instead of them just like fighting and saving the world, because now their kids are doing that. I really like this new generation. I like the Merry Thieves. I like that little friend group. There is a death in this book that made me very, very upset. So just a warning. It's very, yeah, I did not like that. I don't know why that person had to die, but you know, that's one of the things you have to expect in a YA novel. In a fantasy novel, there's gonna be some death. So I should have been prepared, I should have known, but it still made me sad. It's a classic Cassie book. It's got romance, adventure, sacrifice, sibling relationships, parent and child relationships. It's just, it's very good. But I have to say, and this part just kind of made me laugh. Like, it is a criticism, but it's not like a heavy one. It's just kind of funny to me that the main villain that they're fighting, this demon, his main goal is not world domination. Like, he just wants to be the mayor of London. I thought that was so funny. Like, when I read that, I was like, really? That's all you want? Like, small potatoes, you know? Like, shouldn't he be thinking bigger, like aiming higher? Like, he's a demon and all he wants is to rule the town of London. So, I don't know, I thought that was funny. And I guess maybe she wanted to go smaller scale in this book because in her other series, it's more like, I don't know, it's like a larger scale. So maybe she wanted to try something new. I don't know. It's still fun, still a fun book. Now I'm just waiting for her other series, which is a continuation of the Dark Artifices series, I think, which has the other characters like Julian, Emma, Kit, Drew. Yeah, it's hard to keep track of all her characters. She has so many different series and so many different characters and stories. She's just so good. So yeah, this one was fun and sad. And oh, the girl on the cover is Grace Blackthorn. I loved her arc. I wasn't expecting to like her arc. But like in the first book, she's such a pain, so annoying, just causing so much trouble, just so frustrating. Her and her mother are like evil. But then, by the end of this book, I really felt for her. And I think that shows what a good writer Cassie is, that she can completely change my opinion about a character just by writing more about her. Oh, another nice thing is this book has pretty illustrations in it. Let me find a good one. They have like cool black and white illustrations. That's fun. So those are a few of the books that I read in 2023. I would love to hear what you read in 2023, what your favorite book was, and what your least favorite book was. Any recommendations? I'm hoping next year I can read more books that I'm like crazy about. I feel like all the books I read this year, they were good, but none of them like wowed me. And I'm hoping next year I can get a book that wows me. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.